Just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barrero's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
We are your hantavirus leader, so we'll get to some more details from a couple of doctors who've texted. Following up on that story, which we were discussing a little earlier in the show. Inbox, bottom of the hour. But let's, without further ado, get to the top 5.
Finchy. I didn't like much of it. I mean, it's you got to get off of it. You got to use it as a catalyst for ball movement, which is what it should be. You know, I thought we dribbled in tough spots. I thought we were late getting off of it. I thought our spacing around it wasn't really good. And our decision-making when the ball came out of there wasn't good either. So it was kind of a chain reaction.
Other than that,
So
anything else you want to add?
I just told him we just got punked.
Oh, I'm sorry. I stepped on it. What'd you say?
I just told him we just got punked.
Yeah, that's a good word for it. 133-95. They trailed by as many as 40. I think our math confirmed they lost by 38. That offensive cut specifically, he was talking about the Anthony Edwards getting double-teamed the second he crossed half court. It's a smart play because he can't really move to get out of it quickly. And he had nowhere to go. And
well, you
the
know,
Wolves kicked it all over the yard.
What you have to get back to, I think, a little bit is other people have to bring the ball up the court a little more often. Now, the question is, will they, because not all of those folks are used to being point guards. Are you going to run into the risk that they're not going to be comfortable with that? But we have done that before. We do have people who are capable, one-on-one at least, of dribbling the ball up court. To me, that's one of the things you have to do, is you have to at least getting past the half-court line, put it in somebody else's hands. Conley's playing more right now. My assumption is Dosunmu is a long shot at best to play in Game 3 tomorrow night.
Left with a heel injury.
Another injury, correct. A different injury. Only played 10 minutes last night. And I don't know how much of that is. He didn't play anything at all in the second half.
Right.
And this was one of those games where you might, at some point, you might as well surrender, save your players. I don't even think Ant ended up. I don't remember how many minutes he ended up with, but as we said at the top of the show, the disappointment for me is that they lost, but more that they, I think, put a lot of confidence back in San Antonio, Davey, that they sort of got their mojo back. I'm not saying that at the expense of the Wolves they ever lost it, but they did lose the first game at home, and their two best players didn't score very effectively. And so, to me, best case scenario is you win both games on the road. Second best is you play a close game to the wire. And in doing so, even if they win it, I think you keep a little bit and perhaps an element of doubt in a team that really hasn't gone through these wars yet, as great as their regular season was. And instead, as I mentioned, I think you pretty much removed a lot of that self-doubt. Now, that doesn't mean you can't win the series, doesn't mean you can't counter in game number 3 tomorrow night. But it is a game a little bit of numbers sometimes, right? I mean, you're just because you survived DiVincenzo being out in game 6 against Denver and in game 1, just because you survived Dosunmu not being available in either of those games, doesn't mean that you're going to be able to continue to do that over a long period of time, right? Presumably, the further you get in the playoffs, the better the teams are, the tougher the challenges are. They got a lot of athletic wings that like to get into you, just like we like to get into them. I just didn't like how thorough and total it was. I don't like, even though we've seen it before, not getting back on defense to the point of, what was it, 29-5 on fast break points.
Yep.
I don't like that we decided to not go try to drive the ball to the basket. And I don't like that right now, maybe as indispensable players you have in Jaden McDaniels was in foul trouble again, even though I grant one of those 3 fouls, I don't remember if it was the second one or not, was a very bad call that is in the classification of, I'm a play-on guy. If you're going to let the offensive player extend his arm to create space, then at the end of the play, I don't think you can penalize the defensive player for playing just as physically as all those moves make. I thought that was a really bad call that has larger implications, I think, in terms of, an officiating approach in general. I'm not saying that cost us the game, but on this night, McDaniels was your most effective player offensively, and we all know he's vital to what they're doing defensively.
You know what frustrates me about the McDaniels call, too? Again, when you lose by 40, it's never one thing.
Right.
It's certainly not officiating.
No.
As your gal Doris Burke is explaining the highlight, and she's going through it, and she says, and here's Castle. There he is, absorbing the contact. No, that's not what happened.
That's not what happened, no.
And that happens too much with some of these crews.
Yes.
And I'm such a conspiracy theorist now.
He delivered the contact.
Exactly.
All the way to the end of the drive. Then he was absorbing it at that point.
Yeah.
But you can't leave that front section of it out. And that, to me, is, again, where you go, all right, I'm going to let this go for whatever reason. Then as subjective as this is, I think this is what good officiating is. On that play, I cannot penalize Jaden McDaniels, a defensive player, unless he mauls the offensive player. And he didn't maul him on that particular play. That was very bad officiating. You're right.
No update on Erickson Eck or Brodeen. Neither have skated since their injuries. That, according to John Hines, the head coach who met the media today. The Wild had a little bit of an optional skate, taking attendance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys at least were on the ice. Will be a full practice tomorrow.
Who was in the net?
No decision on goalie for Game 3 for the Minnesota Wild, which is Saturday night. Game 3 for the Wolves, by the way, tomorrow night right here on the Fan.
It will be the kid. He'll be in the net.
I would agree.
You can count on that.
It's finally
Even though
here.
It's not official.
I know a day you've been waiting for. March Madness starting next season.
It's official, eh?
Will officially expand from 68 to 76 teams. It's the largest increase for men and women, by the way. It's the largest increase since a move to 64 teams in 1985. The last time we increased it was 2011.
Do we know how we arrived at 76?
I think just add another 8.
Why not 80?
Well, they'll get to that.
Okay.
But here's how they're going to do it, because I know you're wondering.
It is. It's a tournament involving the last 12, right?
Yes, the first 4 doubleheaders on back-to-back days will be replaced by a 12-game opening round.
Oh, 12-game? Okay.
Yes, the Tuesday and Wednesday.
Teams then.
Yes, the Tuesday and Wednesday of the men's tournament will feature 12 games played by 24 teams in 2 different cities. There will now be 3 games each day in Dayton and 3 games each day in a second city. I have to imagine Indy. It's got to be.
Well, it should.
Why would you move? Why you move all,
it's a
all 24
no-brainer.
teams?
It ain't going to be here.
So anyway, one will be in the Eastern time zone. One will be in the Western time zone.
I will tell you, I think you mentioned
west
this
of the Eastern time zone, but go ahead.
Last week or the week before. I'm not as offended as I once was on this. I don't know why. I mean, because it's easy to sort of shake your head and say, God, let's just let everybody into the pool. But I think I've told this story before. The Bob Knight NCAA tournament plan years ago was exactly that. He said, let's just put everybody in. Everybody's in high school, right?
That's true.
Let's just put everybody in.
In a certain way, yeah.
In a certain way, yeah. Let's just put everybody in. So I don't know if that stuck with me, but it's too many. But I think it was already in that sense too many. So it's like, okay, is another 8? Is that what we're adding?
Yes.
Is that really? That's it. Beyond the pale now at another 8. I don't know what that number is. It's almost like, and to be honest with you, my guess is setting it up this way where now you've got 2 sites with 3 games each. I think that's going to appeal to people more than you think.
I agree with you.
I think it's going to end up being, hey, that just kind of adds to the fun on the early end of the tournament. I think it's not going to be as offensive to as many people as the purists want to believe.
I think by the time Saturday hits,
I agree.
We won't even. I don't even think we really pay attention to we watch the play-ins, but I don't think anybody's mad about the play-ins after.
No,
it's just. Yeah, but it's going to start on Tuesday and Wednesday now.
Well, I think in this way, as weird as it sounds, it'll feel more like it's a part of the tournament.
Right.
In a way that, kind of playing, I don't know, the 2 games, I'm all confused.
That's true.
I think now it actually may feel more normal. I don't know. We'll see.
The Fan and BigDeck.com. I want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks. It is our national cash contest. The keyword is fun. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword fun. I should mention briefly that the Twins were edged, was it 15-2 last night?
Yes.
And came back today.
And lost.
7-5.
They actually did come back to tie at 5-5, and then you'll be shocked to learn that their bullpen gave up 2 runs in the bottom of the very same inning.
Man.
And we lost, I think it was 7-5.
7-5 was the final. So they lose 2 of 3 to the Nats.
Yeah.
And now head to Cleveland to take on the Guardians.
Rubber game of the series. All right, let's get a brief pause in. It's kind of like this will be kind of a housekeeping segment, and then we'll prepare for the inbox to be open at 5:30. I'm going to sound like a broken record on the subject of Vikings leadership. I'm aware of that, but I'm stubborn, and I'm going to stick with it because I still don't understand why we feel as satisfied as apparently we do. I still believe, even if the league has changed some, I still believe in putting one person in charge of the football operation. It certainly seems to be the norm in the NBA. You have somebody in charge of your basketball operation. That's Tim Conley, right? Is that fairly well established?
He's the decision maker.
He's the decision maker.
Yep. Bill Guerin with the Wild.
Yes. I don't, whether you want to call it a triangle of authority, whatever you want to call it. And look, it's the Wills team, until they sell it, of course, right around the corner. But so they can do it however they want. And they may say, well, no, we like KOC enough that this is just part of the deal. If you're not interested in that as GM, then see you later. Then we'll go talk to somebody else who will accept it. And by the way, we're talking to Seifert about the names. The biggest name there might be John McKay, right? The son of Rich McKay, former NFL executive, grandson of the legendary John McKay, former USC coach, Tampa Bay coach as well. He's with the Rams. And by the way, I think he overlapped with KOC for a couple of years as well, too, right?
That would make sense.
There are other names on there from other organizations. In fact, I think one of the other names has actually been a GM before with the Raiders and ended up getting canned after like two years. But I just... And I also know that, every one of these candidates are assistant general managers. Is it beyond the realm of possibility that you hire someone who has been, I guess one of the candidates technically has, has been in the job, the main job before? I don't like the feel of it. But maybe that's part of the reason that they waited. That, okay, we're not going to give whoever we hire, we're not going to give them the opportunity to Bigfoot it early because we're going to already have had the draft take place. We're going to cement things with KOC, and we don't want somebody in here because, in effect, if you read the quotes from the Wilfs, it's we want somebody in here who's perfectly satisfied with who we have and the way we're doing it.
Right.
And I'll say again, man,
it's a little backwards.
It is. It doesn't, and it's. I'm surprised with how easily it's being accepted here, in a way that to me is contrary to what we see elsewhere, certainly in other sports. And we can talk about Andy Reid having a certain amount of power, but he's Andy Reid, for God's sake, right? He's in another plateau than what we have going here. No matter how much you like KOC and think it's only a matter of time till we make a playoff run. I'm not here to denigrate him. I just it still doesn't feel right to me that this is the approach you're going to take. And you'll have people still interested because it's a plum job. There's not many of these jobs
only
available.
32.
But I like I like having one person in charge. Now, obviously, the owner is always involved, right? I mean, I think that's been true no matter what decade you're talking about. But I like the notion of doing your due diligence in the hire, be deliberate if necessary, do your homework, but you bring somebody in who then is in charge of the football operation. But we just don't seem, it's fairly clear that's not what we're interested in. And in the end, I think it opens the door to more confusion, potentially. Again, on, breaking ties on some big decisions that need to be made. I mean, the best example to me, and to this day, I don't know that we know, on quarterback. Okay?
Right.
The anti-Kwesi people have framed it in a way that, and this is the way Florio put it again the other day, this is one of the working theories that I don't buy, that Kwesi failed at a time when KOC was saying we have to hedge our bet last year, even if we like JJ. And Kwesi said, we're fine. This is the way we're doing it. We'll get you a backup quarterback. We got the guy, was it from Seattle, who then we ended up cutting right before training camp finished. Maybe that's what took place. I don't buy it, but eventually you can have all the talking heads you want. You get in a room and we debate the quarterback thing. But to me, ultimately, you have to have one guy who's going to make the final call on that. And it feels like it's all by committee here. And you tell me, like, we heard it again from Seifert today. We've heard it from Alec Lewis a bunch. We'll talk to Ben Gessling tomorrow. Well, the reality here is the head coach and the defensive coordinator have incredible influence. And I'll say again, maybe that's good, but it also strikes me as peculiar in that ultimately they were not held accountable on some of these personnel moves that clearly they were involved in, including the big free agency moves the last 2 years, especially including the ones this last year that didn't work out.
Right.
So I don't know. I just don't love it. May work out fine, but I still don't love the feel of it, like almost as if we have all these pieces in place in a way that we do not need to upset anything. And when I say upset, even challenge what we have tended to do. And if I'm interviewing for this job, I'm asking those questions. Well, am I allowed to challenge on anything or to say, well, you guys are doing it this way, but on this, and this, my data indicates we should go a little bit different direction.
And if everything that you just said is true, it does feel to me that they're just going to give it to Rob Brzezinski.
Maybe.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Like if this is how you want to do it, the cleanest way to do it is say, we're keeping Rob. Rob's the guy, and he's one of the angles in the triangle, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to. It happens a lot, like with when PJ has to replace a coordinator. Coordinator comes in. Well, I want to keep these guys on my staff, and it can work. It's a risk not to, because the coordinator probably wants to come in and go, well, I like this guy for DBs more than the guy you got, or linebackers or whatever, because it's just. That's where it's confusing. It's like, this guy is going to come in, and what's he going to run if everything is already running?
Exactly.
And you're just going to be the
how
boss.
How attractive is that? I guess other than you say, well, it's good money and it's nice to put on your resume and on your business card, but it's as somebody, one of the texters put it, it almost sounds like you're pretty handcuffed from the beginning. And again, if you want the job bad enough, I get it. But then I wonder, are you getting the best candidates if you're telling them the front end, no. These 10 things are in place. So do you want to be on board?
Right.
That's fine. At what point are you allowed to do your job? And we're back to then what your job is. Maybe it's going to be as simple as just draft well and shut up. And we'll break all the ties as the owners. I don't know. It just doesn't seem it's not an approach that we tend to approve of as easily in other sports, it seems to me, as we do in this one or with this team. And I guess I don't quite understand that, because when Guerin came in, he inherited the last coach, correct? Did he not? Heinze?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, he didn't inherit Heinze.
No, he inherited
Boudreaux.
Boudreaux, exactly.
Yeah.
So and sometimes that's the way it is.
Was it Boudreaux or
no,
was
not
it
Boudreaux.
It was
forgetting
Evison.
somebody.
Evison.
Yeah, Dean Evison. Exactly right. It was Evison. And sometimes that's the way it is when you make that change and you go, well, that you have to accept this. But eventually, Guerin is given the right. So you have the power. If you at some point feel like you have to go a different direction on a coach, go ahead and do it, which he obviously did.
Right.
Okay? So
I don't remember which of the two he specifically inherited, but
yeah, I think you're right the second time.
Because hockey coaches get fired all the time.
All right, let's make this the bottom of the hour pause. Oh, real quick, Larry Mondello guy, you did the math that 12 games means 24 teams quickly and accurately. Maybe much like Common is terrible at math unless it has something to do with his golf score when he turns into Rain Man, your math skills would improve greatly if you put everything in the context of a tournament bracket. Maybe there's some truth to that.
Well, the moral is LMG's back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think he got the message. I mean, we might have motivated him. We don't
need your hot takes.
There's a punchline there.
We don't need your hot takes or your opinions.
We got plenty of those.
Start a podcast if you wanted to give real sports
you have
takes.
Your niche. Do not squander it. Right? No one is in that the LMG category in that sense on this show.
He's in a class with by
Common
himself
as well, I think.
Yes.
So let's just hang on to that. That's something to be proud of, right? Maybe the GM approach is the right one. Just here's your niche, accept it, and don't try to be something that you're not. I don't know. Maybe Larry Mondello guy is the Vikings inspiration.
And by the way, I haven't seen any submissions for him for Dr. Dan's inbox. So if he is someone,
maybe it's a form of protest,
and I forgot it, please resend it.
Okay.
Otherwise, I don't know what you've been doing the last couple of hours because it's coming up next.
Hendo in Minneapolis. It's all about the Shield, Dan. Culture of collaboration. Rich in Apple Valley. Any chance, Dan, of getting Mike Wilbon on during the playoffs? I hope so, but we swung and missed last year. I haven't reached out to him yet this year. Yeah, it was 2 years ago we had him on. Last year I couldn't get a text back.
He's busy right now.
Of course he's busy. That's the thing.
I was hoping conference finals if they get there.
Yeah, maybe that's the way to wait.
He'll do it, but he's on Get Up every day now. He's doing first thing. He's in his 2-week.
Yeah, it's intense.
3-week NBA stretch.
It's intense. I think the money's good, but it's intense.
He's doing great.
Yeah,
that's the best.
Well. All right, inbox is coming up, and then who knows what else. A couple texts and then we'll prepare for to open the inbox. This is from Alan out of Afton. Dan, the Viking situation seems pretty clear. KOC is in charge. Everyone else can share in success or be blamed for the failure like Kwesi. Remember the advice from Chris Carter. In the NFL, the first thing you do is to identify your fall guy.
And that's a fact.
Dr. Mike on the hantavirus. The current Hanta is the Andes type from South America, which is more easily passed from person to person. The Hanta found in the southwest U.S. rarely spreads person to person. The question is whether patient 0 was infected before they boarded the cruise ship or after. A couple other things to keep you up at night, Dan. Prairie dogs carry the fleas that carry a bacteria called Yersinia pestis, which causes bubonic plague in humans.
Well, see you later.
Armadillos carry the bacteria that causes leprosy in humans. There are others,
but it's raw. At times, it's real raw.
That's good for now, so maybe think twice before you get that pet armadillo. A longtime listener and excellent contributor, Julie, to the show, also noting that the incubation is usually 1 to 8 weeks, which makes it more likely that someone was sick when they got on the ship. Not necessarily that it has to do with conditions on the ship itself. So good help there from a layperson and from Dr. Mike as well. Inbox yet to get to. We got some other things we'll try to maybe ode to a dead guy before we wrap things up. But your letters, let's do it.
It's time for Dr. Dan's Inbox.
Your letters every day.
Still time to jump in. JG at KFAN.com. Dear Dr. Dan, they say time flies, and 25 years ago, so did I. May 2nd, 2001, the Yankees came to town and collided with Dollar Dog Night. Standing in left field at the Dome would normally be a pretty lonely place, but for C. Knobloch, it was far from it. What started out as a few beach balls on the field and the occasional F-bomb quickly turned into something different by the 6th inning. It can only be described as hundreds, yes, hundreds, of silver aluminum foil torpedoes making their way on the field with the former M twin as the target. B. Casey pleaded with fans and yelled, "Quit this!"
Yeah.
Friendly security guards in red shirts transformed into nightclub bouncers and started escorting fans out of their seats. Finally, T. Kelly walked all the way to the outfield and started lowering his arms in emotion to try to calm down the unruly fans. Eventually, the game would continue. It ended with Al Hawkins securing a save to win the game. That being said, Dr. Dan, there was no saving me. Fans spent that $1 on me and had no problem letting me go. Could something like this even happen today, Dr. Dan? With so many menu options and breaking the bank prices, I don't think a fan would be willing to let a piece of buffalo chicken bacon ranch flatbread, a Grand Slam chicken bowl, or a walleye slider go flying out onto the field. D-Dog.
God, that's good. That is so
worth the wait.
Played. That
it's worth the wait.
Was that is that who you asked for?
No, he did file one.
It wasn't that one.
We'll get to that in a minute.
It's
another regular, but it's as good as it gets.
Timer.
A walleye slider, buffalo chicken bacon ranch flatbread thrown at Chuck Knobloch.
It's so easy to throw a $1 dog. And you go, well, we're going to go back up to the concession and get 9 more, right? What's the big deal?
I think that was the first year of $1 Dog Night, too.
Was it?
I want to say, because I've told you I was at the game. I didn't throw mine.
Yeah. I think I was at that game, too.
It was chaos in the concourses.
Was it?
To get the dogs. It was the Yankees. The Twins were playing well. But I remember it being such a phenomenon.
Yes, it was.
Dog Night.
Yeah. It was the closest. Would that be the closest that we came in this town to Disco Demolition Night? Which obviously was a lot worse.
Yeah.
Is that the closest? Like, is that the most embarrassing from a fan deportment standpoint? Was that the most embarrassing moment in fan deportment in Twins history at the Dome? Probably has to be, doesn't
Given that it's 25 years later and we're still talking about it and we can still remember a lot of things about it.
Now, did any of the dogs hit him? I don't remember. And would that be... Could a dog thrown... How much does your average Dome dog weigh?
I don't know the ounces.
So, if he had gotten hit in the head with a Dome dog from... I don't know, 100 feet or 200, whatever it would have been, might that have injured him? I don't know.
That probably one of them. People were throwing other stuff. They were throwing coins, and we had money back then, coins.
They used to throw a lot of times back in the old days at Wrigley Field. The bleacher bums used to, this is when they were more bitter. When the Cubs were terrible, they had nothing else to do. They used to throw batteries.
I think that might have come up.
That's not good.
No.
Because batteries could hurt. One could think. Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Your attention, please. If the trouble does not stop in left field, the game will be forfeited and the Yankees will win. Now quit this.
TK was all but blubbering when he went out there.
Just think about Bob Casey. He had to go on the public address announcer and scold the crowd.
Did we ever get an unofficial number of how many Dome dogs were thrown?
I don't know. No, maybe.
Yeah.
But the place was packed.
If you throw a Dome dog from the upper deck, from the outfield, would that be lethal? I mean, does a dog pick up? Is it more dangerous as it's thrown from further away, or is it actually the opposite?
Like, will it accelerate or decelerate?
Yeah.
I would think that this is good. We're getting into science now. We've handled math. We've handled math and grammar this week.
Yes.
I would think that the momentum of going down, like if you're in the upper deck where I was on the third baseline.
Okay.
Basically, look like you're Chuck Knobloch to me. I'm looking on the field. I bet it would accelerate and the gravity would make it go faster.
You're right.
That's
true. That's true.
That would be what my gut tells me. But any science teacher
somebody
out there
will be able to explain that to us
and let us know what's going on.
Yeah, that was well played.
It's time for Dr. Dan's Inbox.
Letters. Oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day.
Dear Dr. Dan, bonjour. I tried to be nice in game one as I only exerted effort on the defensive end to give the Timberwolves a chance. All that got me was a loss and a tongue lashing from C. Finch about how all of my blocks were goaltending. The nerve. Well, It was no more Mr. Nice Guy in Game 2. I do feel a little bad about dominating my mentor, our Go Bears team.
Yeah.
I hope he'll still be my pal as we come for the gold in the 2028 Summer Olympics. Au revoir. That is from V. Wembenyama.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. As we talked about early in the show, we lauded Finchie for his psychological stroke, master stroke, trying to, plant the seed in the referee's head for Game 2 about potential goaltending calls. And within minutes, no one was thinking about goaltending calls, whether they were right or they were wrong, or how many blocked shots Wemby had. He and the Spurs were so dominant in a much more effective way. They didn't just have him float at the three-point line, which I thought he did way too much of in Game 1. They put him closer to the basket. They put him in some actions, and he was very good. Fox was much better as well, and that was the story from Game 1. Both of them missed a bunch of shots. So we're back to what the best approach is with him. Is there a more effective way to get him defensively away from the basket? I don't know. I don't want us to. I think voluntarily we quit challenging him or challenging anybody going to the basket. Now, some of that had to do with turnovers. What did we end up with, 25?
Wasn't that many, but it was.
It felt like 25.
It was over 20.
It was,
yeah.
I got the number here somewhere.
I'm going to pull up the box score, too.
22 turnovers, yeah. That's not cherishing possessions as we like to ask for here on this program.
It's time for Dr. Dan's Inbox.
Letters. Oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day.
Dear Dr. Dan, why don't people like me? Well, I only called out the beloved C. Barkley for being a total shell of himself when he played for the H. Rockets, but he got me going. I know that I've had S. Curry, K. Thompson, K. Durant, that I've been able to gravy train my championships, and C. Barkley never had that talent to help him. I know that my entire fake tough guy routine would never have flown in the 80s or 90s against guys like A. Mason, C. Oakley, or D. Rodman. But I played in an era where nobody will stand up to me and have made my career about being a complete nasty bully on and off the court. I even sucker punched my own teammate, Jay Poole, during practice in 2022, but he had that coming. At a 2016 M State reunion party, I beat up an active football cornerback that was half my size, but he was the one running his mouth. I purposely get ejected from games that I know my team is not going to win, see last year against the Wolves, but that is simply to stay fresh for the next game. So I ask you, Dr. Dan, what did I do that was so wrong? This from D. Day Green.
Well, here's the thing on this is where Day D Green fails miserably. He gets into this back and forth chirping, basically saying my career is better than Austin Rivers' career because Austin had criticized him. It's an old saw that we've talked about on this show many times. The notion that instead of analyzing the opinion for validity, you decide that the person who offers the opinion isn't allowed to because that person was not as good a player. I've never understood that thinking. On that basis, of course, we can't ever listen to Sean S. Salisbury. And we've talked about that over and over. That's stupid. That's asinine.
Yeah.
All Rivers was saying was that Day objected, protesteth too much, suggesting that basically S. Kerr held him back offensively. That's objectively foolish, provably false. That's all that A. Rivers was saying. A. Rivers didn't say, well, I was a better player than you were. He never said that. But that's where the other guy goes, or other people trying to defend Day go out of desperation. Better to deal with the opinion and the legitimacy of the opinion. But you know what that means? Means the opinion can't be argued with. So what I'll do is I will just try to denigrate it on the basis of denigrating the person who is offering it up. The idea that if you're not a great quarterback, you can't comment on other quarterbacks. That's stupid. Makes no sense to me. But that's how that thing completely derailed and went utterly and completely.
It hasn't been a good look for either of them.
You're sticking your tongue out back and forth of, well, who was the better high school player then?
Right.
And then they're actually comparing stats.
I know.
It's dumb. It has nothing to do with what the original observation was. And again, A. Rivers, who I think is actually a pretty good analyst.
I like him a lot.
All he was saying, he wasn't even ripping his career. He's saying his career is unbelievable because he could be that good even though he was never much of a scoring threat. But the notion that any coach held him back is poppycock.
It's time for Dr. Dan's Inbox.
I prefer codswallop, actually. Codswallop.
Codswallop?
Codswallop, yeah.
Malarkey?
Means the same. Yeah, means the same thing.
Dear Dr. Dan, we all experience challenges and obstacles as we attempt to reach our ultimate goals, and our teams are no different, as evidenced by our current situations. But as D. Green's book once indicated, there's no time for crybabies. And in that spirit, our teams are sure as heck not crybabies, and they're not going to blame us or use us as excuses for the challenges that lie ahead. Sincerely, J. Erickson Eck and J. Brodeen's L. Bodies, D. DiVincenzo's Achilles, A. DeSumu's calf, and A. Edwards' knees. Little group project there.
Group project there. I will say, in all honesty, as we discussed much earlier in this program, you know what? Let me see if I can find it here on the fly. What page would that be? I think it's page. Is it A or is it B? I think it's page B.
It's the Bumper to Bumper Seal of Approval.
I will, for the second straight day, despite what I said earlier, offer up to the Timberwolves head coach the seal of approval. Yesterday it was for his attempt to plant a seed in the minds of the officials regarding goaltending not being called. That seems irrelevant today on the basis of the way the Wolves got slaughtered in Game 2. But that's what I'm going to give him credit for there, too. He knows they're not at full strength. Eventually, I'm sure he'll bring up injuries if this team gets eliminated in the second round. But that wasn't the thrust of his conversation after Game 2, right? The thrust of his conversation was very clinical, straightforward critiquing of his team's performance. He didn't get into, Io tried it, but he was only 10 minutes, and we're still down Dante. He said what? We got punked. He said, we got beat every way you can, and he did it without screaming. He just did it in a very, matter-of-fact tone, and I prefer that message being delivered to his team. Because, again, he also could have said, we went to San Antonio to get 1 out of 2, and we got it. He didn't go down that route either. I think he thought it was more important to remind his players that we saw again last night, if we don't pay attention to A, B, C, and D, we'll lose again. And it won't matter whether we're playing at home or not. We have to shore things up. And I think that's where I give him some credit. There was nothing equivocal about his analysis of what took place in Game 2.
Well, and you know why, I think? Because he knows and definitely thinks they can win the series.
Exactly right.
Even with all that.
Exactly right.
They can win. So he should be focusing on that stuff, and they should be too. They can win this series.
I agree with that.
It's time for Dr. Dan's Inbox.
Oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day.
Dear Dr. Dan, why do we get blamed for every single human disease ever? It's bad press. It's the amphibians I wouldn't trust. But hey, maybe stay away from It's a Small World for a couple days. I had a lot of coffee at lunch, and even big movie stars need to take a leak in the happiest place on earth. This from M. Mouse.
M. Mouse, you said.
M. Mouse checking in. I don't think we've ever gotten a letter from M. Mouse.
Yeah, no, that's a good one to get. Yeah, it's probably a little unfair. That might well be true. It's too easy to denigrate the mouse.
Blame it all on the mouse?
And blame it on, because they really can't defend themselves, correct?
No.
I'm not a big mouse guy, though. I'm going to tell you.
Who is?
I think some people they think they're misunderstood. I mean, they are what they are, but I don't need to have anything to do with them, and I don't want to blame them for every disease that's out there.
That's what people are doing.
Including maybe the hantavirus.
It's time for Dr. Dan's Inbox.
Letters. Oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day.
Dear Dr. Dan, I'm having having trouble finding the right person to hire as my new boss. Are you potentially looking for work? It's not a difficult job. You just need to stay out of the way while I make all the decisions. Your duties only come into play down the road if someone needs to be held accountable for those decisions. Parentheses, only if they go poorly, mind you. Yours collaboratively, Kay O'Connell.
Yeah. I've said this half serious, half kidding. If he has as much authority and is deferred to the degree he has been, I don't know entirely why the Wilfs haven't considered giving him both jobs. And it might. And by the way, maybe it would work. I have no idea. He saves some money, one would assume.
Probably.
But it's a strange circumstance, the way the dynamics seem to play out in this organization. Maybe it'll end for the better. I'm not exactly sure. Adam in White Bear Lake. Dan, if you get hit by a thrown battery, it would hurt like hell, unless, of course, Knobloch throws it at you because he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
Hold on.
And you would never get hit unless you were sitting in the first 4 rows of the stands. Adam.
Well, that's why he was playing left.
Exactly right.
Because he couldn't play second anymore.
Got the yips, couldn't throw from
crazy.
second to first base. It's remarkable. He's not the first, not the last, but it did happen to him that way.
It's time for Dr.
Hell of a ball player in his prime. Now, he ran into some bad behavior later off the ice, too.
Yeah.
But in his prime, gamer, great second baseman, good hitter, just a really good ball player.
Dear Dr. Dan, I couldn't agree more with your opinion on the M Vikings management and decision-making structure. When it comes to player personnel and salary decisions, you need one person in charge. Much like the M Timberwolves have T. Conley, and the M Wild have B. Guerin, and the M Twins have me, and my brothers, and my aunts, my uncles, and my cousins.
Yeah.
This from T. Polak.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know what to think of our management structure at this point. There just seems to be so little at stake, and the assumption is whoever the general manager is, they're hamstrung by a lot of edicts that are put into place above them. That includes pay cuts of payroll cuts of I think $65 million over the last 2 seasons. It's the one exception to the rule, right? Because I honestly don't agonize over the separation of powers inside that organization because so little seems to be at stake, right? Just there's nothing at stake. So
what's
who
the decision
cares? What's
that
the
is really
difference?
critical?
Right?
Yeah. A couple of quickies.
It's time for Dr. Dan's Inbox.
Letters. Oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day.
Dear Dr. Dan, believe it or not, our first experiments with gravity actually involved stale hot dogs, but the mustard did get a little messy. That from I. Newton.
I've got some savagery on both of us regarding any chance we would have had to figure out the calculations on terminal velocity.
All we wanted to know was would it go faster?
I don't even think either of us said we knew.
No.
I said we want to know. And instead, people are just mocking
What's wrong
and
with being
ridiculing
curious?
us. I don't know.
You know?
It's used to, it's,
What's wrong with being curious?
Well, it's Pitchfork Nation, man.
I know.
It's a whole different
Everybody's
world out
got
there.
all the answers
They
all
do.
the time.
Yeah.
On live radio.
It's always easy to have the answers when you're not on the air.
Live audio.
The same as with the TV shows, as we said, and the game shows.
Dear Dr. Dan, this ain't show friends, it's show business. There are no favors. Tell C. Kilborn, show me the money. This from K. Pollock.
That's a callback to the news that he's going to be, he may have agreed to take a cameo role in the new movie Pet Project, Vanity Project, by our guy, C. Kilborn, correct?
Where the protagonist falls in love with someone other than himself. I love that
That's
line.
a great line, actually.
I love that line every time he says it.
Very self-aware line,
Yes,
correct?
so good. There's the inbox.
That's well done. Outstanding array of short letters, long letters, etc. We'll finish with the return of Larry Mondello guy. He feels like he's on a heater now. To me, the best part of the infamous Dollar Dog Night fiasco is it is so antithetical to Minnesota behavior to lose all decorum and waste a perfectly good wiener straight from the pride of Austin, Minnesota. It's like the Scandinavian persona got inhabited by a Bronx spirit. In other words, we really hated Chuck Knobloch. That's pretty much it. And he's hit on it. I mean, you could argue there's no huge funny punchline here, although you did laugh. But he's right in that what stood out about that night is Didn't take place in New York, New York. Didn't take place in Chicago. Didn't take place in Philadelphia. We're all looking around going, are we in Minnesota?
Is this the Metrodome?
Is this passive aggressive? This is pretty non-passive aggressive. You're throwing, 10-month-old hot dogs that's been sitting in some gruel or brine for the better part of the last year, and a poor guy who just wants to play left field. Even though he doesn't really want to play left field, has to play left field because he can't play second base any longer. That's it. Top of the hour pause. Back in just a minute here on the Fan.
And now, it's time for Ode to a Dead Guy.
Very sad news breaking earlier today that former Vikings tight end Joe Sensor has died at the age of 69 years old. Terrific piece laying out the Sensor career and background by the wise old owl Mark Craig of the Star Tribune. And, of course, for a lot of the kids, they may think of him more as the restaurateur that he went on to be. A series of very popular sports bars called Joe Sensor's forever. I did the ongoing joke, Vikings Uncensored at Joe Sensor's.
That was the show.
That was the show. Yeah, it was a terrific show. I had not stayed in touch with him over the years. Got to know him reasonably well when, of course, he was doing color analysis on the Vikings and KFAN radio network as well. Always appreciated my time with him. And his backstory is, as Craig lays out, pretty remarkable at the front end. He was more of a standout basketball player.
Yeah.
In Pennsylvania than he was a football player, actually. I think he only played 1 year of high school football, but he wasn't good enough to be an NBA guy. So the Vikings, and he played football at Division II Westchester University. That's in Pennsylvania. And the Vikings took a flyer on him. He was a sixth-round draft choice in 1979. Did not play his rookie year. Pro Bowler in 1981 with a season that has not been topped statistically by a Vikings tight end ever. He caught 1,000. I don't have the number of receptions he had, but he was over the 1,000-yard mark that year. 1,004 yards receiving in 1981. That's still number one in Vikings history at the tight end position. Knee injury in 83. Played in 84 before that knee and other injuries pretty much forced him to retire at 28. He retired at the age of 28. And you wonder whether if he was born later, they were the kind of injuries that might have been more easily dealt with in the 2000s or 2020s than they might have been in the 1980s. That's for sure. Worked on the Vikings radio network, Craig reminds us, from 93 to 94 and then 2001 to 2006. Then he opened the sports bars. The one I was most familiar with was the one in Bloomington.
Yep.
But he had several, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yep. Roseville, Egan.
They're all closed at this point, I believe. I don't think they exist. I'm reminded that in this story that Sensor was 11 years old when a brain tumor killed his father at age 47, and his mother, basically without the means to feed 5 children on her own, sent him to an orphanage 120 miles away.
Wow, I never knew that.
Craig writes, he never forgot his humble roots, the cow milking at 5:30 a.m., the curfews at 9 p.m., the hard work, the sports that would become his ticket out. Great quote from Greg Coleman, his former Vikings teammate. Joe was not born on a bed of roses, but it taught him to appreciate life, or his life, to not let the obstacles defeat him. For him, it was, don't tell me what I can't do. Just move out of my way. As I said, he played football and basketball in high school, ended up growing into a 6'4", 225-pound frame, and then eventually was picked by the Vikings as a sixth-round choice in 1979. There's a quote from the team on the team website from Scott Studwell. Unfortunately, his career was cut short due to a knee injury, or he would have taken his place as a true legend and would have had a hugely productive career with the Vikings. But he still impacted Vikings fans on and off the field, made his mark on the Twin Cities in a variety of ways, and was such a caring and supportive soul who always had a smile on his face and warmth in his heart. As I said, he finishes with 165 career catches, 1,822 yards, and 16 touchdowns as well. There's a quote, a great quote from Coleman regarding a story he remembers. An injury had kept him from playing as a rookie, but he was able to practice. I remember that first year, Coleman says, I'm holding a dummy bag in this drill, and Joe flattens me. I get up, and I'm mad. And Joe was like, sorry, man, but I got to do whatever I can to make this team. I can't fail. Coleman says we became close friends after that because I appreciated that everything Joe did was full speed, busting his butt. I had 60 catches with 4 games left in the 81 season. On November 29, 1981, caught 11 balls for 98 yards and a touchdown against Green Bay, but also suffered that knee injury that cut his career short. He would catch only 8 passes the final 3 games of the 81 season, finishing with 79 catches, a record for a tight end that stood until about 10 years ago. Kyle Rudolph had 83. And as we said, he remains the only 1,000-yard tight end in team history. Craig also reminds us that he set up, the Miracle at the Met play, which we've talked about over the years. Tommy Kramer, 46-yard Hail Mary touchdown-style pass to Ahmad Rashad. That helped the Vikings beat the Browns on December 14, 1980. The first play of that 2-play drive, 20 seconds left. As Coleman remembers it, it's a play we always had in the playbook, and who better to make that play work than Tommy Kramer, who could throw a dart, Joe Sensor, a fast tight end, with 2 of the greatest mitts there ever was, and Teddy Brown, one of the best athletes I've ever seen. On that play, Sensor catches a 9-yard pass from Kramer at the Vikings 29. He then laterals to Ted Brown, who runs another 25 yards before stepping out of bounds at the Cleveland 46 with 5 seconds to go. The brilliant play before the play is the way Coleman puts it, and it put them in range where you could get a Hail Mary pass, obviously, into the end zone as well. There was he suffered a very serious stroke, as I recall.
Yep.
That definitely had a major impact on his health for a number of years, that's for sure. And there was one other item I wanted to get to from the his career. Oh, there was a horrific story involving his wife, Amy. If you go back to 2011 to 2012, she was convicted in a hit and run crash that killed a very famous Twin Cities chef. Amy sentenced at the time to 41 months in prison. I think she served most of it in Shakopee. And ultimately, Amy later becomes Joe's caregiver after a stroke. He suffered that, I think, pretty massive stroke, was it not? I thought it was pretty debilitating. But he's one of those sneaky big names that people don't, maybe have forgotten too much. And one of those guys who, what if? He's in the what if category because he was obviously on the road to being a top 5 National Football League tight end. And unfortunately was just unable to stay healthy.
You're seeing a lot of tributes about him, and I loved that quote from Studwell, because obviously we all worked with him here, right? On Vikings broadcast, and we got to know him. And I always said, if you're ever feeling bad about yourself, talk to Joe Sensor for like 5 minutes.
It's astonishing.
You're going to feel like
that air.
You're going to feel like you can fly.
Yeah.
And we used to do, actually, Tipsy Steer is a derivative of the people that ran Joe Sensor's, the restaurants, run Tipsy Steer now. So we still do it with, quote unquote, the family. But it was at the Sensor's in Roseville, and he was always there. And even before I was hosting it, I would always go just to be around the coach and to go for people and do whatever. And Joe was always there on Tuesdays, and he would sit there. And my first couple of years when I'm doing it, I don't know if I'm doing anything right. I'm just trying to survive it. And every single week, he'd just be like, you guys are unbelievable. Mike Grimm and you and Daryl, I just love listening to you guys. I get a kick out of it. Just what you're doing here. You're doing a great job. And when you're like 27 trying to figure it out, like that stuff is such gold.
And you haven't forgotten it.
I never will.
Yeah.
And I even think about when we did the Prep Bowl, PA, Coleman, and Sensor did the Prep Bowl. I don't know why. I was talking to Abbott about this, and I was helping out just spotting for PA or whatever. Well, Coleman had never really been in the booth, so he was jacked. He was fired up. He was stepping on touchdown goals. He was everywhere. And Sensor's face while it was all going on, like, this is important for Greg. Greg's excited to do this. I'm taking the back seat. Like, just watching him take the back seat so that his guy, Greg, could be the analyst for that night is, I think, just says a lot about him. And there's a lot of tributes from people kind of in my generation that have been helped out and was, he was just so kind to all of us when he didn't need to be. And we'll never forget that.
The way to that end that he struck me is, at first, it's you're not buying it.
For sure.
You're going, oh, come on. He's playing a game here. He's just going through. He can't really be either this interested or this kind, or whatever the case may be. And then it starts over a period of time. It dawns on you, oh, that's him.
Every time.
That's exactly him. My late father met him at the Sensors in Bloomington. I don't even know what the occasion was one night. And he couldn't have been kinder. They ended up spinning all kinds of football stories just because my dad was a football, an NFL fan from way back. But he had that air about him, and it was not phony.
No,
it was absolutely not phony. It's 100% who he was. And, if you're a cynic like I am, you're going, wait a minute now.
What's your angle?
Is this real?
Yeah.
And then he wears you down. And at some point you realize there's no angle. This is his nature.
That's who he was. That's why we called him Uncle Joe.
That's very true.
Because he was like just your uncle that just wanted the best for you.
No question about that. Let's get a final pause in. That's definitely Joe Sensor under the gone but never forgotten category for sure. We'll wrap things up next here in the
Show Wrap is presented by American Pressure, commercial grade pressure washer since 1975.
It's the bumper to bumper show wrap.
The extra point, is it? It's no good again! Get the hell out of here! Doug Bryan missed it to the left again, and the Vikings only lead by 2. Come on!
Oh, what a good moment that was with PA. And Bryan, was that the name of the kicker?
Doug Bryan,
Doug Bryan, yeah. Joe Sensor on the emotion rather than the color analysis. That's just pure Vikings fan emotion from a former player.
It was a heck of a day in that happened, and I think it was the first and only time a player has been cut on Vikings fan line because Tice called in.
That's right.
To fan line and said, we're calling Gary Anderson. He's going to be here tomorrow. Like, what a time.
Oh,
think about that now.
That's
20 years ago or whenever that was. Tice called into fan line, so fans knew, I get it. It was like, did you see the game?
It's as good as it gets.
Yeah, Tice cut him on fan line, basically.
There's absolutely no question about that. Outstanding array of guests today. I want to thank each and every one of them. Craig Kilborn, extended time with him on the Wolves and a number of other things between 3:30 and about 4:15. Kevin Seifert on some names emerging that the Vikings are going to apparently interview, at least in this first round. He joined at 4:30. The inbox was excellent again today. Great contributions from you, the listeners. Tomorrow is Friday Football Beast Day, and that'll include a visit with Ben Gessling. Tom Crean is going to join the show tomorrow to help us preview Wolves-Spurs game number 3, a game you can hear on the Fan tomorrow night. Wild, of course, are not back in action until Saturday night. That game also on the Fan. Maybe we add a hockey guest tomorrow. We'll see how indeed that goes, because there's some pretty important questions facing that club, because they're not coming back home 1-1. They're coming back home down 0-2. So there's not really, I think we'll agree, much margin for error. That's what we call in the business must-win territory for your Minnesota Wild. But that's indeed will be on on Saturday. I can't remember. Who was the bigger Taylor Heineke fan on this show, you or me? Or either?
Well, I like...
Because I guess he's announced his retirement.
Oh.
He's had enough.
Okay. We liked him for a minute. Was he the one that broke his foot?
Taylor. Did I call him Taylor or Tyler? Taylor.
Yeah, it's Taylor.
It's Taylor Heineke. Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah.
He beat us one time, didn't he? No, he was clowning us, and we ended up beating him when he was with Washington.
Yes, that's exactly
it. He was
it.
doing the first down stuff, and then he threw a terrible pick. And
I think we ended up winning that game.
I think we did.
Yeah, that's very, very true, Davey. Good help from the audience, including Dr. Mike on the hantavirus. We learned a lot there. Learned a little bit more about how lethal a thrown wiener can be. Is it more dangerous with the bun or without the bun? Got to be, I don't know. Again, I'm afraid to answer that question, too. I'm so intimidated now when it comes to math and science. I'll leave it to others.
Just stick to radio.
612 guy with a nice compliment late. People that are not aware of your show are really missing out. 3 to 6 p.m. Well played. Thank you. The tickets will be in the mail. Talk to you tomorrow at 3.